Hey y'all, Instinct Survivalist here, coming to you with another 2-Tip Tuesday. This time we're going to talk about fatwood and pot hooks. Is that really what it is? It's a pot hook? Yes, it's a pot hook, and I'll actually show you why that's a pot hook and how we're going to use that. First, let's talk about fatwood. Now, this is not to take away from those of you that have seen Black Hat Bushcraft's 3 uses of fatwood. This is not to take away from that. In fact, I'm going to put a link in the comments down there because I like that video. He's done a great job in it and talks about the 3 different ways to process. Overall, what that is that he's taken and done some shavings on a piece of fatwood and brought it down to the little curlies, if you will. That's one way to do it. Another way is to process it down so that you have kindling, and then the other is using the fuel. So I kind of spoiled the ending there, right? That's the 3 ways. What he's done is actually shown you exactly how to do that. Now, I kind of gave you the little bit of shaving that down, breaking that down into kindling into little pieces. And the reason for that is because you're looking at ensuring survivability, making sure that no matter what, you have a fire that you can utilize. Now, if that means that I have to use the shavings and the kindling and the big fuel pieces, then so be it, as long as I have a fire, especially when you're looking at rainy conditions. We've had a lot of rain here in Georgia. In fact, it's actually hurting a couple of other areas that I'm working in. But that means that with this fatwood, you are assured a fire. Now, I want to put a big disclaimer out there. This fatwood is yellow pine fatwood that is from Georgia, okay? Now, that does not mean that, hey, there's another place in Georgia that's going to give you the exact same thing. In fact, went camping with Survival Sherpa last year. We went up to Raven Cliffs, Raven Falls, one of the ones up in North Georgia, and we got some fatwood up there, and the difference was the white pine is not quite as resinous as this, and you can kind of see the orange in that, and I'm gonna hold up the other one so that you can see it as well. You see the orange in that, and the reason that this is, I think the comment on Matt's was nature's gold. The reason for that is that because you are assured a fire with this, provided you process it right. All right. Now, granted, I could stick a lighter to this; it will light. All right. So if all else fails, I do have the ability to start a fire. One of the other things about it is that when I was actually trapped in Virginia, had to get home. Flights kept getting delayed. We had snowmageddon here in Atlanta. We're not even going to go into that. Do not go into that. But to get home, I was going to drive. I had a Jeep Wrangler that I had as a rental car, and I decided, you know what? I'm just forget the plane after 3 days of them canceling flights. I just decided to drive home. So I went to the Army Navy store and went to a regular big box store. In the big box store, one of the things I grabbed was fatwood, and the reason being is because where I was, they didn't have any. All right, there was no place for me to get it, and I was assured it was going to be good quality, and it is. The Duraflame, I think, is the brand name. They're the ones that make the instant light logs that you go in and light the corners on fire and it lights up. Anyway, so they process fatwood and put it in a box for you. That was one of those things where, even though I invested in it, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to worry about snow drifts or being stranded, if you will. And it was something that, hey, I could use over again, right? I wouldn't have to worry about it being wasted money. So that's one way to ensure survivability, by having quality fatwood. And if it is something from a white pine or something from a different evergreen tree, then that's fine. Just know that there are areas in which there have more resin versus not. Okay, so yellow pine, I assure you, is going to have a little bit more resinous content to it as opposed to white, but that's not to say that white doesn't have it. It does have it. We were able to get a fire. It just took a little bit longer because we weren't used to that kind. Fair enough. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is the pot hook. Now, you may look at this and say, well, Bill, it's a stick with knots in it or notches in it. It is. So that's what we're looking at. Now, I'm going to take a second and show you exactly what I've done to this. But basically, I've taken and put a notch in the top, and then 3 notches in a lower stick. And this is going to be something, one of those things that we can use over and over and over, just by making sure that we've got it set, making sure that we've got this hooked right, and you can see it's actually pulling up my bail pot. So being able to do that. And the reason for that is because this now becomes something that I can create, just like the toggles from last week. I can create this out in the woods. Now, what I did see when I tried to get this one is I haven't got it carved out enough. So let's actually go in and look at being able to carve this out so that you can see what it looks like, okay? So one of the things we want to do, just kind of finalize it, if you will, is put a little loop into it. So, well, I've already mentioned that. Let me show you what a loop looks like, or what I'm considering a loop. It's actually on the end. You should be able to see it bows into it, so it comes like a J or a fish hook type action. So you got it coming in as an angle, down and back up when you look at it that way. And so the reason for that is so that it sets and you never have to worry about it falling off your pot hook. It should do it, and I don't have to do much. You just want enough to make sure it catches. So in this, if I was to take and set this down on there, it catches. So an example being that I can set it down on there and it catches, and you can see how that's holding on real well. So. Okay, so one of the things I didn't tell you is basically what you're wanting to do is it may be about a quarter of the stick left that's intact, but overall, your overall goal is just to make sure it's deep enough for that bail, the bail on your pot, or a piece of rope, or fill in the blank, whatever you're using to utilize this. So instead of using a toggle to pull up my bail, maybe it's one of those where I don't have the ability to make a tripod. Okay, I didn't have enough lashing, I didn't have enough cordage for that. And so one of the things is I may have only a short piece of cordage, and I'm going to take you over to the tripod so that we can set this up and you can see exactly how we're utilizing it. Okay, let's reposition the camera and we'll go do that. Okay, so what we've done is now we're taking this loop that I've put, as, again, remember, minimum cordage, take that loop, throw on my bail, throw my pot, and then it hangs just fine. Now, if we look at it, the ability to take and move that up or down is based off of what we need. If we need to be closer to the fire, then we can do so, and I'll show you an example. So right now it would be, if I have my fire going, probably about 1.5 to 2 foot above the base. Okay, that's not to say above the flames, that's to say above the base. So now you can see where I might do that, and then if I need to, I'll adjust it. One thing about this is sometimes it's trial and error. Again, that little J hook that we talked about in the close-up is going to be your best bet for that. And if it doesn't work, let's say that I go in and put my pot on it and test it before with empty contents. If I put my pot on it, it slips off, just make it deeper. No big problem, no big deal. So that's really the basis of this, is being able to have an adjustable thing and a different way to do things, not just a single idea, if you will, such as the toggle. So there you go, folks. For those of you that are going to ask, my rope was about 1.5 feet. I can shorten it, lengthen it, and what I've done for it is I actually put a knot in the top. I put a knot in the middle just so it stays together. It gives it a better pull, if you will. You don't have to do it. Again, play with what works in your area, play with what works for you, and you can see how it would work in different situations. So hey, thanks for joining us again. Fatwood and pot hooks. You can use a crane on this as well, and if you don't know what a crane is, for a pot crane, look it up. We may do one in the future, but for right now, I suggest you look it up. It's really cool, the ability to have a stick at an angle and then setting that there, and then the ability to adjust that. You can either do it that way, or you can do it this way, which allows you to adjust it different heights as well. So keep that in mind. By doing it this way, it allows you the option of going either this way and bringing your bail up. Now the problem with that is you know, if you put your bail on there, I can only go so far, right? I can't go to that third one without having it this way. So one of the options is to do it this way, and then having the opposites actually adjustable in my rope. Okay, so keep that in mind. Hey guys, thanks for everything you do. Thanks for your likes, your subscribes, the tweets, retweets, and the list goes on as far as sharing out the videos. Make sure you comment below. Need some fresh content, so I am urging you to comment below on this one or one of the other ones. It's fine to comment to give more suggestions. You could be having one of your suggestions show up as part of the new 2-Tip Tuesday. So keep that in mind. Hey, until next time, use your instincts to survive. Thanks for watching.